So this is part A of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel broadcasting on the internet under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo Editions. And this is Sunday the 13th of August 2023, part A. Two of the things that we shall start by referring to in our original observations. One is the East London Borough of Tar Hamlets, which is lumbered with the corrupt criminal post of executive mayor. Now, the corrupt criminal post of executive mayor was the subject of a discussion, a derogatory discussion held under the auspices of the UK House of Commons in January 2013, when a Conservative Surrey constituency Conservative Member of Parliament, himself a licensed law trader, Robert Neil, had initiated a discussion, so-called debate, under the I'll check that one. So, according to the copy published online on the 17th of January 2013, under the heading of Commons Slams Tower Hamlets legal officer for bias towards mayor. And it's a piece, byline 2, somebody called Mike Brook, reporter. Now, on a wider context, Mike Brook is a complete racist moron and a complete criminal liar himself in his own wrongs. But this is just for the reference. So the piece, the first paragraph says, the town hall legal officer who monitors Tower Hamlets councillors' standards of behavior in public life in London's East End has been slammed in Parliament for bias towards members of the mayor's cabinet. Public funds have been spent investigating complaints against opposition group leaders lodged by Lutfur Rahman supporters on the council, but not when complaints are levelled against his own cabinet members. MPs heard. The practice came to light in a 90-minute Commons localism debate yesterday, Wednesday, on local government standards. The debate was called by Bromley and Chislehurst Member of Parliament Robert Neil because the government's bid to remove top-heavy excessive standards regimes was being flouted by some town halls. This whole piece is overloaded with stupidity, ignorance, falsifications, etc. But we shall have to leave that particular aspect to another essay length discussion. Neil criticized Tower Hamlets' legal officer, Isabella Freeman, for not being open and transparent. She regularly investigates complaints lodged by a member of the mayor's cabinet, Neil told members of parliament. But complaints against those supporting the mayor have not been taken forward for investigation. Isabella Freeman is in dispute with the council herself, her employer, in an ongoing industrial tribunal case. But Isabella Freeman still carries out her functions even though they involve councillors who may be witnesses to those proceedings. Tower Hamlets has reached the extraordinary stage of elected members from several parties having passed a resolution at a council meeting behind closed doors last summer to have disciplinary steps taken against the monitoring officer herself, Robert Neil pointed out. We might have thought she would have withdrawn from the meeting, Mr. Neil added. Instead, she insisted on remaining and noted what was being said, which hardly gives the impression of an unbiased, open, and transparent approach. Mr. Neil, a former candidate for Tower Hamlets Council when he lived in Blackwall, referred to Freedom of Information requests revealing that £18,000 of public money was being spent investigating complaints against both the leaders of the Conservative and the Labour opposition groups on Tower Hamlets Council. But no such complaints have been taken forward. In the same way against the group that supports the mayor, Robert Neil added. Councillors also raised complaints about a highly partisan council publication, East End Life. Isabella Freeman responded that everything the mayor put in that publication was in order and also advised that he was not obliged to answer certain questions from councillors about his functions because that might infringe his human rights. That, Robert Neil said, frankly, brings standards into serious disrepute. The condemnation was part of a Commons debate on local authorities flouting the wishes of Parliament. And now this is the 10 years ago. And online there is no comment. The East London Idiotizer website, which I have been reading, says so. Isabella Freeman is, of course, a proven liar and a crook. Before she was appointed to the job in Tower Hamlets Council, she was employed by Slough Borough Council, which is in Berkshire, outside of London. And in the Slough Borough Council, Isabella Freeman was involved in a dispute based on her racism aimed at an Asian Indian employee. arising from the fact that that particular employee was one of the people who raised concerns about Isabella Freeman's lying. Now, the current problem, 10 years on, the current problem that has been under the discussion in Hamlets Council concerns the abuse by Lutfur Rahman of the resources of the council for apparently making the mayor's office better furnished. So this is the piece that is a, that Rachel Barford published in the Evening Standard on the 9th of August. Tower Hamlets to spend thousands on lavish mayor's office. Rachel Barford, chief political correspondent of the London Evening Standard. One of London's poorest boroughs is set to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on a lavish makeover of the mayor's office, despite the council's moving into the new town hall less than a year ago. Plans for Hamlets leader Lutfur Rahman's new executive workspace include a £50,000 meeting table and 30 luxury chairs. But critics today slammed the relocation of staff cafeteria at the council's Whitechapel headquarters just so that Mr. Rahman's workspace can be extended. Proposals due to be discussed tomorrow, that is 10th of August, including turning the building's Grade 2 listed chapel, currently a canteen, into an executive office. The council's civic centre moved to the former Royal London Hospital in January following £120 million refurbishment. But a string of new upgrades have already been ordered. A £50,000 budget has been put aside for the mayor's meeting table and seats, with the council admitting it has already spent £24,000 on the chairs. Some £200,000 is budgeted for moving the mayor's office, while £25,000 is set aside for a kitchenette. The revamp was expected to cost £450,000, but the final bill is under review, according to council documents. There have been 66 objections to the plan. Tower Hamlets Unison branch secretary Kerry-Ann argued it was unfair to create an inferior space and fewer meeting rooms for the staff use. Tower Hamlets Labour Party said it would be grating for residents to learn that the lavish makeover was being done at taxpayers' carrying the cost of £400,000. Nearly half of children in Tower Hamlets are growing up in poverty, more than in any other borough in the capital, that is London, according to the Trust for London data. Lutfur Rahman was barred from holding office for 5 years in 2015 for electoral fraud. He and his Aspire group won control of the borough for a second time last May, that is May 2022, after Lutfur Rahman served out his ban. A Tower Hamlets Council spokesman said it was always, read that again, a Tower Hamlets Council spokesman said it always planned to review the use of the town hall after 6 months. They added the council wanted to create a much bigger indoor and outdoor well-being space with improved facilities and an outdoor terrace, and the current space was too small. Now that's in conflict with the actual description of the expenditure. The purpose of the expenditure is spend £50,000 for a meeting table for the mayor and 30 luxury chairs. That is nothing to do with creating space and nothing to do with the local people, nothing to do with the people who experience 247 obstruction, denial, lying, incompetence, and corruption, and stupidity and negligence by various tiers and stages of decision makers employed in the council. And as the debate initiated by Robert Neal 10 years ago in January 2013 shows, Isabella Freeman advised that Lutfur Rahman was not obliged to answer certain questions, because to answer certain questions would expose him to losing his human rights. Now, this is so stupid that the whole thing requires A to Z denunciation examination. If an elected post holder, it's not just an ordinary elected post, it's an elected post which is the highest ranking post within the local council. And it is the post that is called executive mayor. By definition, executive mayor means that the post holder is the executive person who is responsible for making the decisions, executive decisions, in the name of the council, all the decisions. In his report or ruling, the election commissioner, Richard Morey, who was carrying the QC on the 23rd of April 2015 when he published it, and has since become converted into KC, King's Council, because of the passage of Queen Brenda and her replacement by Prince of Wales Brian. It's a gender conversion. So Richard Morey KC definitively condemned Lutfur Rahman on the evidence as somebody who could not be trusted, who lied. So severe was the evidence of Lutfur Rahman's dishonesty, as publicly stated by Richard Morey on the 23rd of April 2015, that Richard Morey had no hesitation in banning Lutfur Rahman from public office for 5 years. He would have done a more severe punishment against Lutfur Rahman, but the existing quote constitutional settlement prevented Richard Morey from imposing a longer ban or a life ban, which is what he would have preferred. Lutfur Rahman was a liar, according to Richard Morey, who saw the evidence, heard the evidence, witnessed the evidence, as was Alibor Chowdhury, Lutfur Rahman's main colluder. Of all the people in the council at the time, apart from Lutfur Rahman, the only other person that was severely condemned in no uncertain terms by Richard Morey was Alibor Chowdhury, who too was banned for 5 years and was kicked out of the post as councillor with immediate effect, just as Lutfur Rahman had been. Now, these events of corruption by mayor, dishonesty by mayor, and the post of the mayor were foisted on English local authorities by the criminal against humanity, Tony B. Lyer. Tony B. Lyer foisted the crimes against democracy with effect from 2000, when the first incumbent in the post of London mayor was in place in the person of Ken, in our words, lying still Livingston. Ken lying still Livingston was a liar who was able to get re-elected in 2004, and he stayed there until 2008, when the election took place and lying still Livingston lost to the congenital liar Boris Johnson. And during the two terms, that is 2008 to 2016, the congenital liar Boris Johnson abused many of the resources of the post and office of the mayor, including enriching his known mistress, the American Jennifer Arcuri, whom Boris Johnson, took to his marital bed, where he had sex with her on uncounted numbers of occasions. Now, the inquiries that were supposedly begun into Boris Johnson's abuse of the post of mayor and office of mayor are still not concluded. Now, this is 2023, and Johnson was last in office In 2016, he had the most hectic sexual activities with Jennifer Arcuri while he was still married to the licensed law trader Marina Huila. And Marina Huila was his wife after he had an affair with her while still married with somebody else. All the rest of it. So the crimes committed against democracy, against transparency, against accountability by incumbents in the post of mayor or posts of mayor in Tower Hamlets in the name of Greater London are considerably extensive and have been. There is no mechanism in the procedures to really expose and hold to account and punish these criminals. We shall be talking about all of those another time. This is 28 minutes, so we are coming to an end of this edition at 04:58 hours GMT on Sunday, the 13th of August 2023.